Hey everybody, I'm Justin Bohn.
I'm Mike Val.
And this is the Bohn and Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohn and Zano Zone podcast, presented by BuddiesProShop.com. Mike, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, but this is going to be an exciting show.
There's a lot that's been going on in the past 72 hours.
Yeah.
And no better person to join us than when with everything going on than this guy tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to basically run down the show tonight. We're going to be talking about the Players Championship a little bit, and then we'll get into the main topic of the night. Should regional players be eligible for the PBA Hall of Fame, and how they should be, if they should be.
On a night where the Baseball Hall of Fame is announced and the disgrace that was, no better topic than to talk about Bowling Hall of Fame tonight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's great.
But
for those of you that have been continuously watching, you all know that this is something that we've had in the works for a while, and we're super excited to finally get it done.
Yeah,
finally do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it, and I get to do another typical Mike intro tonight.
Yes, you do. So do you want to go right into that?
Yeah, I don't want to wait anymore because it's negative 15 degrees from where our guest is tonight. I want to make sure he's all nice and warm for later on in the evening. So a 30-time regional champion, Justin.
Okay.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of regional titles.
30 is a lot. 30 is more than Dad, I think, right? Dad is 28.
33? I don't know. We'll look at the list.
All right, we'll look at the list. All right. A member of the USBC Hall of Fame, inducted in 2011. And I could be wrong on this one. I believe he has 4 Eagles, 90 clean in his first Eagle win. Member of Team USA in 1985, who was Team Trials champion in 85. Won gold in Colombia in the FIQ in teams and in the trios event. The owner of 11thframe.com, Justin. Have you bought the blog yet?
I have.
We buy the blog.
Yeah, we buy the blog and we love it.
We do buy the blog. We support it. Bowling journalist, and what I kind of call him is the TMZ of the bowling world, right? I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
Bring him on, Jeff Richgels. Bring him on.
And I always say I'm not the TMZ of bowling. I don't get into all the gossipy stuff, or try not to.
All right. Well, I mean, they do some
hard
good
news,
stuff.
baby. Hard news.
It's
not fake news
without the gossip.
It is.
Yes.
All right. So, Justin, before we get started, people have asked. They've been messaging me since Sunday. What are you going to say about that little altercation with said bowler and said bowler? I'm just going to say one thing, and I want to put it to bed right now.
Okay.
We're going to be classy and not say anything about that incident.
No, I don't think it's
no.
It's not the right place. It's not the right time.
It's not our platform to say it. I think Jeff, you may agree with that, but we are not going to bring that up. That is nothing we want to discuss.
We will share what happened and
leave it at that.
The action that happened after that. But we'll talk about that in our rundown. PBA Players Championship regional TV shows took place this weekend, and 5 pretty exciting shows. It was, I love this format. I think this format brings out some of the best in the pros, but also you get to see so many new faces in this format. I mean, you got amateurs on every show. I mean, first time TV shows, it's great. I love it.
Jeff, what was your best region out of the 5 that you thought was the strongest field?
Oh, wow. Boy, they were all they all had a neat mix. If I recall, when I wrote my story after they qualified, each region had a major champion as the top seed and 3 champions and 2 non-champions among their 5 players. So I thought they were all pretty balanced, and they had a lot of neat like newcomers, guys like Bailey Maverick. We got to see Wesley, which I think was maybe his second show, and just such a nice mix. And then of course you get Sean, you get Belmo, you get Butters, you get Tommy. I mean, you had all these great stars along with this mix. I just thought it was so much compelling interest for whether you like underdogs, new guys, superstars, whatever. There was something there for you. And it didn't have the best action, but how could you not say that last night was not the most impactful show? I think a big message was sent last night.
He had no rust whatsoever.
Oh, not at all.
No,
I think that was mentally like one of the sharpest shows that he's probably been on in a very long time. I mean, it seemed like nothing fazed him at all. And for those of you not knowing who we're talking about Belmo. Made his return to TV last night after basically it was his first winless season last year since 2016, mainly just from not bowling. And I mean, he missed pocket one time in 4 games, never got less than 9. I thought, it was impressive. It was impressive.
And those were, all the other shows, they weren't that easy. They were scoreable and guys were hitting the pocket, but it was very easy to miss the head pin, get a giant split. It wasn't like everybody was shooting 260 every game. So that was just I can't think of any of his major wins or any win that he was any more impressive than he was for those 4 games last night. That was spectacular.
Yeah, he proved number 1 in the world for a reason last night. I mean, he was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think it was the kid in the first match, Cortez, right, Justin? That was last.
Yeah.
Cortez was the only one that really had him on the ropes.
Yeah, I had a chance to, get him in the 10th and win the match. And when he didn't there, I said, boy,
yeah,
the only person I could see beating him was Butters. And, as soon as Butters had the tough start, it was like, no, this
game
is
set
over.
Match.
This is over. And it just was interesting that book ended Kyle's tough showing in the first show where, missed a spare, shot 170. And it shows you the difference between being the hunted and the hunter. And sometimes it's really hard to be the hunted, as Belmo has known at times, and a lot easier to be the hunter, which he now is, and which Kyle was last year. And now Kyle's that guy that's got the bullseye on his back out there. And, that's not an easy thing to go through. And that's why I think it's always impressive when, through history, Earl and Roth and Belmo and Walter winning player of the year after year, to put those great years, consecutively. That's sometimes harder to do than getting it once.
How about Norm for 57? How good did he look? Oh my God. Is he not incredible?
He was one of my peers and your dad's. And I just look at how, I was never as good as them, but I look at Walter, I look at Pete, and it seems like you get to 54, 55 in there and things start to fall off. And they aren't falling off for Norm, because the thing about him too is he doesn't throw the ball the way everybody that's young is throwing it to be successful right now. The only guy close to him is Frankie on tour that's a star. And to be that age and throwing it the wrong way straight most of the time, it's unbelievable. I had someone message me and say, do you think if he wins this, before he'd lost that last match to Tommy, do you think if he wins this, we got to start talking about GOAT and putting him in the same words with Walter and Earl and maybe Belmo? And I was like, geez, maybe that's worth considering.
Yeah, they were talking about it last night on the show. And what made the difference is how old he's still competing at as high of a level as he is. Granted, he's still 7 titles behind Walter Ray, but for him to be that competitive, it wasn't like he just made the show.
No,
he made the show, bowled really good on the show, and got 279 bowling when he still bowled 240.
Yeah.
So that's enough right there.
Someone like your dad could speak to how spectacular that is, because your dad's probably a year or two younger than Norm, And no offense to him, he's still fantastic. Look at what he did on the senior tour this year. But to do that against those youngsters, and he doesn't do it anymore. I mean, it's just so out of, it's such an outlier what Norm's doing. It's really, what Handegaard did, that was a one-time thing, all power to him. But, Norm does this once or twice every year. And he could win when he's 60, I think, the way he takes care of him. I don't know. It's just
right.
Can Duke win a major? Can he win another major at 57?
I think he has a better chance to win a major because the lanes are harder. Usually.
I think if you give him something harder with a little bit more of a longer format, I think he's got a chance.
On the longer format, you're not going to beat him if you're going 56 games.
Right.
That's what Bo was saying last week.
Yeah, as long as the body holds up, because he does at our age, no matter how much you take care of yourself, there's aches and pains, and he's had those things. The various stuff that's kept him off the tour and the seniors every now and then, calf injury and little things that your body starts to break down. But if he could get through a week at a major that way and the lanes are real hard, boy, I wouldn't want to bet against him.
No.
Right.
No, he's stupid good. We'll put it that way. He's stupid good.
Yeah.
And he's a Hall of Famer for a reason, right, Justin?
Oh my God. Yeah.
So speaking of Hall of Fame, should we just get right into it? The heated discussion finally?
I think we should briefly talk about the shows and what happened.
Okay.
Besides just what we had already talked about.
You go right ahead.
I think we'll start in the order that they aired.
So we're starting with the East.
I think it's a good way to do it. Pat Dombrowski making his TV finals debut looks pretty impressive.
That's a underrated bowler. Very underrated bowler.
Throws it really well. Really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he's been a pretty big name at the regional level. But to make a statement like that, beating Kyle, beating Bill, and then beating Brandon Runk, who we both know, local guy, another great player in our region, and then losing to Graham Faw. Graham Faw's on a little bit of a run recently. He ran over qualifying at the RPI. I mean, absolutely ran him over. There's nobody close. So Graham Faw coming out of the East region. In the South region, we kind of already talked about it. Tommy Jones beat Norm Duke. DJ Archer made a small run, but it was all Tommy Jones. I mean, he didn't miss but once.
No.
I mean, his ball reaction was incredible.
How cool was that interview with Mookie there too?
Yeah,
that was gold. If Fox's baseball coverage, if they would somehow work that in during the year, if let's say Mookie has Tommy and DJ and some of the other pros out at a Dodger game or something, and they put that sort of statement that Mookie was making about bowling, boy, that's the kind of thing. I mean, you can't pay for that.
No, he's such a great ambassador of the sport, and he's a professional baseball player. I think by far, Jeff. I mean, I've watched Jerome Bettis bowl at Carolier. We watched some other celebrities, Chris Paul. Mookie is the best celebrity athlete bowler I think I've ever seen before.
Well, see, here's the thing. He was a bowler before or at the same time he was a baseball. He's just like John Burkett, who I'm good friends with, but, a couple decades later. They bowled seriously as kids. I mean, Mookie was bowling with Cam Doyle and was a Tennessee high school, a really good player in high school. So he was a serious bowler. It wasn't just, this bowling is a lot of fun. And, Chris Paul, Jerome Bettis, guys you mentioned there, they do it for fun. Terrell Owens, and you can see they're not really skilled bowlers. They're people who've kind of bowled and gotten decent at it.
I had a couple lessons.
Yeah, you can see that with Mookie and with Berkey that those two guys are serious bowlers. Just look at where Mookie's hand is as he comes through the ball.
Oh my God, his mechanics are great.
Bowler. He's underneath. He's got a pro release. Now, he's obviously not refined. He doesn't even probably touch a ball 8 months a year. But I could see him, and you could talk to Tommy or people that are with him more than I ever have been. But don't you think, looking at his game, that if he spent all his time bowling, that he could be a tour champion? I mean, he's got the game, and he
definitely pop a regional title.
Got the nuts. Yeah, I mean, he's impressive.
He finished 30th this week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he finished 56 out of 60. He finished 30th.
He wasn't the red leader. He had a good showing.
Yeah. So go ahead.
When not even when. What's preventing John Burkett from going to the winner's circle on the 50 tour? Because he's always knocking on the door. Like, what can get him to the next level to win? Because he has a game where he should be able to win a title.
That's a really good question because he's got one of the best physical games out on the senior tour. And, I bowl with him every year at the Ron Moore tournament. We cross together and I sit and I watch him and I'm always like, God, I wish I could throw it like that. I mean, even at my best, I don't think I threw it like that. So why did I win so much? And he wasn't bowling then, but even now I'm almost as a cripple. I'm, I can do stuff he can't. And I think it comes down to experience. He didn't all those years that me and your dad and all these, we spent bowling PBA tournaments and just learning little tricks and stuff. And he doesn't necessarily have those. And even if he had a tour rep, they can't. It's the stuff that's in your head that you pick up competing. He kind of just started a few years ago. He's really kind of like a 25-year-old in a bowling sense, but a senior tour 25-year-old. And, and now he's getting up there, but he still throws it fantastic. And he's come close. One of these days, he's going to run away, lead a tournament by 200 pins and win. That's what I believe. And I hope he doesn't get too old before it happens because there's not a nicer guy in the world and a more deserving guy as far as working hard. And I think every player I know on the senior tour would stand back and cheer that was there if he won. That's how much he's liked and respected. You would never know that he was a fabulous athlete in another sport. You would never, ever know that. He's the most down-to-earth, nice guy you could ever. I wish I was as nice a guy as he is.
He seems like he's really good people, like really just a nice, genuine guy.
I didn't know he played baseball until after he bowled on the senior tour for a year or two. And then Brandon came from school and he was like, "Oh, I read this book about baseball and John Burkett was in it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he was a baseball player." I was like, "Oh my God. Wow."
One of the guys I bowl with at home, Ken Duffield, was friends with John when he lived in Arizona, and John lived there during his baseball career, and they would bowl in the winter together. And every time like the Giants or whoever team he was with would come to St. Louis or Chicago or something, he would give tickets to Ken, and Ken would go down and watch a game. And I got a signed autograph ball from John when he was like in the mid 90s when he was really good that Kenny brought back for me. And I kept it. And it's just funny, it sits in my office in my writing area, and to come to be good friends with him and enjoy competing with him and stuff is really neat. He's just such a good guy. I would stand up and cheer so loud if he could win it.
He needs a banner. He'll get his banner eventually.
Nobody works harder. I mean, he's got lanes in his house, and
does he really?
Yeah, he's got a bit of money from his career. He's smart with it, and he's down there. He oils the lanes. He's learned the patterns. He practices like more in a week than I do in a year. And he's just such a good. I mean, all the guys out there love him, and it would be great if he could win.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, what region do we leave off at, pal?
So now we're on the Midwest region, and let me tell you, great showing on TV by Matt Russo. And I'm not just saying that because
We're friends with him.
I'm close with his family. Like, it was unbelievable what he did on TV for a first time on TV. I mean, you would have thought he's got 5 titles already.
Yeah, he didn't have any of the first time jitters on the show.
No, and he got up and did what he did in the 10th against EJ to beat EJ, right? Needed the first one and then like 7 spare or 9 on the second one. Beat AJ, and basically had the match wrapped up against Sean.
Yeah, threw a bad shot. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, and then
didn't you think he had the second one made when that ball's going down the lane? I would have bet money. I would have yelled out 1,000 that he made it.
I mean, when you look at it, besides the 9th and 10th frame, he had that match won
100%.
And the fact that he split in the 9th and then made the spare and then split again in the 10th and put it in the same spot right where he needed to.
And picked one off of it?
Yeah.
But one word about Matt, classy. And that's all I want to say about it.
Yeah, I reached out to him and I put the quote in my story. He just didn't want to address it. And I totally get it. I don't think he has a whole lot to gain by saying anything. He looks fine just keeping quiet about it. And, if there's things he could say that would make, would look bad on him. And so I don't have anything to gain. So I don't have any problem with him. I wouldn't do the same thing, but most people I think would do the same thing and not say anything. Did you guys, just before we move on from this, did you at all hear Beef and Barnesy today? And they got into, and we don't have to worry about the Sean situation and that, but they got into the back and forth and, Norm fiddling with tape and people taking extra re-racks and what Sean said and gamesmanship and that. And it was a fascinating discussion by two PBA Tour champions at the top level about, that sort of stuff that goes on tour, which we've all seen, and how this sort of was part of that. It was really interesting. I'm not trying to, if you consider them competitors, I'm not trying to push people to them.
Oh no,
but it was a fascinating discussion. If people that are listening to this podcast would want to hear that.
Norm is notorious for the gamesmanship. I remember in the show where he bowled Goebel and lost with 280. If you remember that one, in the 9th, he gets up and fouls. He walked in the lane. He didn't let go of it. And then he cleans his shoe off, and he has oil. He just basically iced the kicker. He was trying to ice Goebel on the front 9. And, Norm is notorious for those little tricks. But that's all that action down in Texas he grew up with probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing that since I had hair. I mean, that's Norm. And this is professional bowling. I got no problem with that. As I wrote, as long as you don't do anything while I'm on the approach and don't mess with my equipment or anything like that, anything you do when it's your turn and within the rules, and if you want to put 12 pieces of tape in, take your maximum re-racks, that's none of my business. That's my job, is to handle that as a fellow pro. And if I don't, that's on me, not on you. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that may not understand that. And I think that's the general ethics of it that most touring pros would agree with.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I agree with the statement. So Sean Rash did end up winning the Midwest region, and we just want to basically tell everybody what had happened. He made a statement basically about integrity and was fined an undisclosed amount, suspended from one PBA Tour event, and put on 1 year probation for the incident. So I'm glad to see that something happened rather than just a money fine. We all know that he's made statements like that, and there's been incidents like that in the past. I'm glad that they made it public that there is action after that. But that's all we'll talk about that. It's not our place to get into it. So,
in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
That's right. So
I said lots about it. If you want to see everything, the full story,
buy the blog
from Sean and that, go to my story.
Buy the blog.
Buy the blog.
Buy the blog.
So in the Southwest region, I actually didn't watch this show. I was in class when this show was going on, or actually I was asleep when the show was going on because this was Sunday night. Anyway, Southwest region. Arturo Quintero won, and really, really interesting to see someone like that win, because I mean, that's not really a name that a lot of guys know, but he's been bowling on tour for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, he took some time off and he came back, and he throws it well. He throws it very well.
Yeah.
I saw him. Good story about him. I was covering the World Series of Bowling, and it might have been 16 or 17. I think it was 16. And they had that Team USA versus the World match that was part of the World Series there for a few years. And he qualified for the World team. And that was the first time I'd ever seen him bowl. I'd heard the name, and I saw how good he throws it. I mean, he rolls it good. Yeah. And he made the famous thing where he got a strike and he ran up to the camera and said, "Take that, Trump."
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
which at that time was so long ago, it was more about the border stuff, and it had nothing to do with all the COVID or elections or anything. And it was mostly in fun as a joke, because there was a lot of back and forth in that show. I was there live, and it was really funny. They were having a great time, the two teams, and it was that's how those are. The Weber Cup's the same way. They want to beat each other's brains in, but they're also having a good time. And that was where I saw Arturo, and I got to watch him bowl, and some of the, he almost made a show or two there, and man, he throws it good. And look at that. He generated more on the lane, I think, than any other player right-handed. More reaction, more motion, and more area. Don't you think? Of all the shows. Even more than Belmo.
That's what I had heard.
More than Belmo, yeah.
That's what I had heard, was that what he did and what he created was way more than any other player. So it'll be interesting to see because that's a guy that doesn't have a title on tour.
Right. You know what he needs? He needs to finish high in the seeding Friday so he doesn't bowl on the fresh, because I think he benefited massively. I don't think the way he played the lanes, especially the right lane, I don't think he can play him like that if he's in the first match.
Yeah,
Maybe
he needs a little friction. He needs a little breakdown.
Yeah, he needs some of that urethane care. I mean, his great benefit would be if Tommy was throwing urethane and Belmo was throwing urethane and they were in the lower seeds and he was like the second or first seed and had a chance to have them do that to that right lane. And then I could see him winning maybe. If he's in that first match, boy, I want to see how he does the lanes in the first match if he's in it.
The PBA really wants the ratings on this one. They have a chance for some monster storylines with this.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
I mean,
just think of the opening match. Based on the seeding, you could have Belmo, Sean in the opening match, right?
Right.
And let's just say Sean wins, and let's just say Tommy's waiting for him, and we know Tommy was very vocal. As soon as that
vocal statement, yeah,
Tommy made a very, very vocal statement. So you have the chance of some nice headlines, Jeff. You'll be busy on Monday.
Yeah. No, it's Saturday night. I'll be
Oh, that is Saturday. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Here's my deal too, which no one cares about, but it's funny. It's Susie's dad's 82nd birthday Saturday. I'm bowling a tournament.
Okay.
So we're going to dinner afterwards with her dad, and the show starts at 7:30. So I'm probably going to get home in the middle of it or towards the end. So I got to watch it all, take my notes, do my interviews. Then I got to bowl our city tournament the next day. Both shifts starting early in the day. So I don't know. I'm going to sleep about 2 hours and get up and try and write my story or something before we go bowl. I don't know, but I don't want to wait until Sunday night or whatever. So I'm going to try and watch it Saturday night after we get home from dinner and get up early and get it written on.
And
Sunday
you got to
night.
follow the football games on Sunday too.
Well, with what happened last Sunday,
I know
it's not as big deal for us to watch.
The cheese got melted on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's new? But yeah, no, I know we'll be bowling our minor events while the 2:00 game is on, and then we'll come home and see the 5:30 game.
All right, good recap there, Justin.
Yes, and we already talked about what Belmo did, and I thought, to be honest, that step ladder going into it was incredibly stacked. Not PBA Tour experience, just bowling experience. I mean, and we talked about it last week. 2 junior world champions, collegiate national champions, the best bowler in the world, one of the top 5 best bowlers in the world right now. 3 of the best bowlers to come out of California in the JBTs out there. Jake Peters, who is coming off of like one of the best weeks of his life, making Team USA.
Yeah, Jake Peters is on a high the past month and a half.
Yeah.
All right.
So, anyway, that wraps up our recap. And now I think let's get into this debate because
all right, so
a lot of people have been waiting for it. And I'm
so
excited
before we start it, Jeff, what are the requirements? And you would know this more than we would. And I know it's 40 years old and 10 titles. What are the requirements to be eligible to go on the ballot for the PBA Hall of Fame?
Let me see. And I haven't checked this recently, so if I'm wrong, someone can correct me if you have chat or something.
Okay.
It's if you have 2 majors, you have to have at least 5 titles, I believe it is. If you don't have majors, 10 titles. Okay. And I thought it was 20. It's 20 years, not 40 years old. It's 20 years on, but that's kind of the same thing. But like Anthony Simonson will be eligible before he's 40. I'm pretty sure.
He went to the title.
I thought it was just 2 majors. I didn't know about if you have 2 majors.
No, you have to have. I have that somewhere, but what I don't know is if it changed. Let me. Yeah,
because I know he became eligible after he won they said he was eligible with the title requirements after he won the Players for his second major. I didn't know about the 5 titles one. So that's news to me. See,
again, sorry PBA, but man, get your website in order.
Oh, not for nothing, but how bad is the PBA website?
It is.
I'm not afraid to say that. You can't pull a score from a tournament or anything anymore.
You can't. You can't find the
archives are gone. Everything. It's terrible.
Yep. You can't find. You type in Hall of Fame and you get a couple things here, but then when you click on them, like to try and find requirements or something, they're not there. I couldn't find the rules the other day. I guess maybe I need to be a member, which I'm not. to possibly access the rules. But why wouldn't you have the rules out there so if some fan wanted to go check them? You know, we don't.
Stop making sense.
You've talked about this 67 times, but
stop making sense.
Hey, Val for CEO, that'd fix this issue.
That would fix the issue. So basically, it's 20 years a member or 20 years on.
Oh, here I found it.
Okay.
Bowlers, and I did it by Googling. So this is a Wikipedia. So I'm not 100% sure this is accurate, but it's you can qualify for the Hall of Fame based on 5 PBA titles as long as 2 are majors, or 10 titles with 20 years of membership.
Okay. Now, they used to have the veterans category for the Hall of Fame. They have since removed the veterans category for the Hall of Fame recently, right? And there were
yes, I think so.
Yeah. So there were a couple guys that went in on the veteran category that didn't meet those requirements, kind of like how the Baseball Hall of Fame now has that other category, the Harold Baines category, you want to call it. So we were discussing this. Do you feel that guys that bowled on tour for 20, 25 years that are right on the cusp, that maybe have 7, 8, 9 titles, but have had 25 or 30 in the regional ranks, should their regional accolades count on the resume or count on any resume to get into the PBA Hall of Fame?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I don't.
Why?
Because I think the PBA Hall of Fame is about the PBA Tour.
Okay.
And if I just don't think that anything you do or did on the regional level should have any impact on whether you make the PBA Tour Hall of Fame. If you have 70, I mean, here's a perfect example probably is Dale Traber, who didn't bowl full time on tour. I think he only had a second in
the major. Yep.
Yeah. And highly respected bowler, but had a job and has the most or close to the most regional titles, has 2 senior majors and 5 or 6 total senior titles, a candidate for the Senior Hall of Fame. But I just don't think those regionals have anything to do with getting in the PBA Tour Hall of Fame. You didn't beat some tour guys might bowl a regional now and then, but it's not PBA Tour competition.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's called the PBA Hall of Fame. I just don't think you can equate or add in. And some people can. If you disagree with me,
okay, can I give you a guy?
Sure.
And I'm not going to give you the ace in the hole yet. I'm going to give you one guy.
Before you say that, I want to back up to a point that Jeff brought up.
Sure.
So like how the national or the regional stuff should not count towards the National Hall of Fame. If there was a regional Hall of Fame, I think the national stuff could count towards the regional Hall of Fame. Like if you have 1 or 2 national titles, maybe. Just a thought. I don't think it goes up, but it might go down.
Well, yeah, I think in that case, because it's the higher level, sure, I would accept. I just don't think it's like this. If somebody's being voted on for Cooperstown for the Baseball Hall of Fame, you're not going to consider the 100 home runs they hit in minor league baseball in AAA or something. Mm-hmm. Or if you're considering the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you don't care how many rushing yards some running back had in college. They aren't counted. And mm-hmm. I kind of have always considered the regionals the minor leagues of bowling, and so that's where I would draw the distinction. But if you achieve something on the higher level, I can see that working down.
Okay. Mike, go ahead.
So I'm not going to give you the guy's name. I'm going to give you what he's accomplished so far. 8 national titles, 1 major. He's a millionaire, 300 on TV. That's a guy who's right on the cusp, basically, right? 43 regional titles. Can you figure out who the said bowler is?
Steve Jarris.
Very good. That's the guy. That's the first one. So there's one example. So that's a guy, he's not at the 10 title mark. 8 titles, 1 major. I mean, he's done everything on tour. He's not a journeyman by any means.
No.
He almost 1 bowler a year. But why would somebody along those lines, why did they get sniffed at? I mean, I understand it's not the 10. I get 10's the benchmark number. But my opinion, he beat the best in the world for X amount of years, right? He just wasn't like a flash in the pan, like an Emmett Schutz was, whereas one title, never heard from him again. But 43 regional title.
I think Emmett had 2.
He might have had 2, but my God, I mean, really?
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a very one and, whatnot. But 43 regional titles, like you're at some point you're beating the Webbers in your region. You're not just not beating the Joe Schmoes. So why wouldn't you consider that? Like, or bring the veteran category back? Would you put Jaros into the veteran category if that was still there?
I don't really get. I've never understood really a veteran category. That's
Okay.
like and this applies to USBC too. Here's a category for somebody who's not good enough to make the Hall of Fame in the regular way. It's like, why? I've never quite understood that. In the USBC, there's some logic to it because you might have someone who has a really good tour record and a really good USBC Open Championships record, but not a great record in either place. So they're not good enough to make the superior performance ballot. When they go on the USBC ballot, their PBA stuff can't be counted, but their USBC record isn't quite good enough. But the veterans category, you can consider both of those things together. So there's some logic to it in the USBC Hall of Fame. I don't get the logic in the PBA Hall of Fame. What if you think someone down the line, some committee meets and decides that a guy is good enough for the Hall of Fame, why put him in the Hall of Fame? Don't put him in the veterans category. If you think Jaros is a Hall of Famer, put him in the Hall of Fame. Don't give him this lesser category.
Don't degrade what he did for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, I'm going to vote on Steve on 8 titles and a major. I'm not going to care about. Well, Roy, I think Roy was Roy a veterans category, or was he in when the standards were different?
I'm not sure. It's hard to pull
He
that.
He didn't have 2 majors, I don't think.
I don't think he had a major.
Yeah.
I don't think Roy Buckley had a major. Well, now let me ask you, Jeff. And I don't know if you said this earlier, a senior player, is the criteria different for guys that are 50 and over?
Yeah, well, there is a senior category in the Hall of Fame now.
There
for
is
a guy like Ron Moore or something like that.
So
yeah,
I'll give you another guy. So Michael Haugen. So look at Haugen, 5 titles, 3 PBA 50s. He has a major. He won the Tournament of Champions. Senior Rookie of the Year, Senior Player of the Year, 26 regular regionals. I'm talking 23 regionals, 6 senior regionals. So he will probably get more consideration based on his accolades from the age of 50 moving forward.
So he'd be someone that would go in like the senior category.
Yeah.
Most likely.
That senior category is relatively new. I can't remember exactly when it was created, but I kind of jokingly call it the Ron Moore category because Ron is, Ron's a guy that if he'd gone on tour when he was 25 years old or whatever, he probably would have had 10 or more titles on the regular tour and would have got in the regular Hall of Fame. And I mean, he's been one of the greatest senior players ever. And that's like a separate category, like a regional Hall of Fame would be. And that's fine. And you're in a lower category. If you're considering Haugen, I would probably say it's fine to consider his tour titles too. But if you're going to call it the senior Hall of Fame, you better have, I don't know that 3 senior titles qualifies you for the Senior Hall of Fame, and I can't look it up. So
is that how you better not have 5 national titles and just 1 regular senior title and be like, oh, you're in the Senior Hall of Fame. Like that doesn't make sense. That's degrading the performance. But someone like Ron Moore, who didn't win on the national tour, but has a bunch of senior titles.
Yeah, he's got like 4 Player of the Years and 11 or 12, 13 titles or whatever. I got the records here.
Handegard was another one who basically went in on his senior stuff. And Justin, I'll give you another one, a guy from Jersey. Look at Tita. Tita won 3 times on the national tour. And I believe Tita would probably get in more based on what he did post 50.
Right.
But then if you flip the coin around, and here's another one. I'll give you another example. And Justin and I found this one out today, Jeff. Said Bowler, 8 national titles, 1 runner-up in a major, 42 regional titles, 29 regular, 13 senior titles. Guppy. I mean, these are guys
How
that
many senior titles does Guppy have?
senior regionals or senior national
Senior
titles.
tour.
He has 0.
Okay.
He has 0 on those, and here's Litchie. Talking about Buckley, the Sphinx.
I'm curious how Roy got in, or if he's in the regular category. They must have. And I'm not speaking against him.
Oh no, we know you're not.
God love Roy.
If Litchie can provide that, I'm sure Larry has knowledge of that. But Guppy has 0 titles on the national senior tour.
Yeah, so he could not get in the senior tour.
No, but
and he's borderline so close. Imagine, the hit he needed was the shot to beat Roth in the U.S. Open.
He left the 4-pin. He threw a 3 dot.
Although that would only got him 9 titles in one major. He would have been 1 short of eligibility.
He's still 1 short.
Yeah.
All right. And then I guess the smoking gun, Justin, is who I want to bring up next.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, hold on. I actually want to bring up a comment, an interesting comment. So when we posted this on Facebook, there was an interesting discussion in the comments on my page. Someone made a comment, do minor league baseball players get into the Hall of Fame, like we talked about earlier? But then Walter A. Williams made a comment, I think they should be eligible based on superior performance. Bowling isn't baseball. Some guys had great jobs, so they didn't make any sense to bowl full-time. Others bowled full-time for a few years and won national titles and have won many regional titles. They put bowlers in the PBA Hall of Fame for national senior titles. I think a point system where like 100 points would get you nominated in a way. 1 point for PBA 50, PBA 60 regional wins, 2 points for PBA regional win, 4 points for PBA resident pro, 5 points for PBA 50/60 tour win, 10 points for national win, double points for tournaments deemed as majors. 100 points may not be enough, but some kind of point system like that.
So he's saying a regional player then could go in the same category, or a person that earned most of their points in a region, me or something, theoretically, or Traber could get in, and it would all be one category of Hall of Fame, and he wouldn't find that to depreciate his achievement and his place in the Hall. That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a point. I just think that the point system, it'd have to be like 5-1 on national to regional wins. It'd have to be a pretty substantial ratio of points to get in. I mean, when you look at Roy got in for his record performance category. I think he had 35 top 5s when there was.
Yeah, but Larry, what we're saying is the rule is to be eligible, it's 10 titles or 5 titles with at least 2 majors. So if he only had 7 titles and didn't have 2 majors, he wouldn't be eligible now. I'm not saying he's not deserving. I'm just saying that the way the standards are now. So obviously the standards have changed.
They've changed.
That's what I'm curious about. I find Walter's position fascinating because I'm always, as just a regional guy who did nothing on the tour, 7th place was my high finish. I always am very I step back from guys like Walter and I don't ever want to even be considered in the same category as them, because that unduly depreciates their achievements, because they're on a whole nother level for me. If you make a PBA Regional Hall of Fame, put me in. I deserve it. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to
absolutely
false modesty here, but no way do I deserve to be in there the same way. Same with USBC Hall of Fame. I'm in the USBC category. I'm not in the superior performance category. I'm not on the level with Walter and Pete and Earl and Don Carter. They're in another category from me, and I'm lower than them in this USBC category, which is great because that's part of what USBC is about. And if PBA adds a regional Hall of Fame, I'll stand up there and say I
take your plaque.
I want no false modesty. I deserve that, like a lot of guys, but not in the same category with those guys.
Yeah. So back to like the point system that he was mentioning, that maybe like how you say you're not even close to that category, but someone like Guppy or Michael Haugen or guys like that were close but had a bunch of regional wins.
Like Jaros is the other one.
That's the prime other one. So like if you have 8 titles, and I'm just throwing that out because that's the common occurrence here, and 30 or 35 regional wins. There's not a lot of those guys. There's maybe less than a handful.
Yeah, because I think if you go on regular regionals, I think I'm still 12th or 13th with 30. The last, and it hasn't been updated in, I mean, that thing that we got from Bowling Historian, Eric Hartman or wherever it came from. I don't even remember if Eric sent it to me. Someone sent it to me.
I gave it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And, it's not completely most recent, but it's close. And I know that the press release PBA put out in October of 2019, I was like 11th or 12th with 30. So, maybe a couple people passed me, but yeah, there's not many people. And you go to 35 or that, it's probably, half a dozen maybe.
Justin,
and that's regular regionals, not adding regional and senior.
Justin, I have an idea really quick. Why don't you see if we can get Litchie to join us really quick? He's very active in the chat. Send him a message. See if we can pop him on for 5 minutes, and we can eliminate the typing.
Larry, put in the comments. Let us know if you want to join us. Drop your email, and we will get you on this. Because
all right. So
if there was some committee and Walter and a bunch of other true Hall of Famers sat down and said, we think that the point system should let guys get in that might only have, like Jarris and that wouldn't otherwise be eligible, but add in their regionals. And I'm not gonna say they're wrong. Mine is that I'm trying not to unduly depreciate the achievements of Walter and guys like him. So, but if he feels that way being on that level, then boy, far be it for me to tell him he's wrong.
What about Dennis Horan? There's another one. So Dennis Horan,
4 or 5 titles on tour and
2 majors. He won the TPC twice.
Oh, that's right.
Or now the Players, he won the TPC. He beat sorry, Justin, he beat Dad twice for the TPC.
Don't worry, Dad finished second 4 times, so don't be sorry.
But there's a guy, 4 or 5 national titles, 2 majors, and 31 regional titles. So on the standards, he's eligible then with 2 majors. But he would never get looked at. He would never even sniff the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, Justin.
I beat him in the step ladder when I won the Resident Pro, or national
in 93, right?
93. He was one of the lefties I ran down in a row, 3 of them in a row, and then Lonnie Sharkey.
Integrity, Jeff.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
All right, Justin. I'm gonna
go ahead. Your guy. You've been itching to talk about this.
Well, this is the one, and he doesn't meet the requirements by the law of the PBA, right? He doesn't. He has 5 titles. He has 14 runner-ups in the majors.
Yeah, I was going to bring him up too. So I know
14 runner-ups. He qualified for the Japan Cup 14 times. So you're not a journeyman if you're qualifying for the Japan Cup 14 times in your career.
So explain the qualification for the Japan Cup for the people that don't know.
Isn't it based on points for the year?
Top 16 in points, I think.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah,
it's off the previous 2 years combined.
Yeah. So he's bowled in that tournament 14 times. Your father's won it, what, 5 times?
4.
All right.
Close
4
enough.
times. This guy, he's the only, how about this, Jeff? I learned this one yesterday. He's the only person to make the telecast at the U.S. Open in 4 different decades.
Yep.
How are you not considering Ryan Schaefer?
Well, because according to the rule, he's not eligible. Interesting story, and I hope Ryan doesn't get mad that I tell this story, but when I was on the USBC Hall of Fame committee, I knew his record, and he also has an ABC All Events Eagle, USBC Open Champions, ABC Tournament All Events Eagle. And I reached out to Ryan, messaged him. I was like, Ryan, man, let me nominate you. All those runner-ups and all that, you belong in the Hall of Fame. Your record is, and he didn't want me to nominate him. He has some negative feelings toward USBC, I think, is how I took it. He did, without him exactly expressing. He didn't want to be nominated. He wasn't interested in it. And maybe if I'm not good enough for the PBA, I don't know. You'd have to get him on to ask him specifically. But to me, he's like the biggest what if resume in the history of bowling. It's 12 runner-ups and majors or something like that, isn't it? It's astounding.
I got 40, yeah.
It's astounding if just a few things. I mean, if he just wins a third of those,
Yeah,
he could have been in the level. I mean, in the history of bowling, if you go down the number of majors won, and when Belmo was going up the ladder, I wrote this, and then also Pete several times. Just getting to 5 or 6 puts you in like the top 10 all time in PBA history and majors. And he's got all these chances, and just things happened. He had game shot against him, and had some tough breaks himself. But he just a few wins there, and people look at him completely different. I think most people look at him like, there's Ryan, the journeyman, who can be surly and all that. And I look at him like, God, he could have had an unbelievable record.
He's far from a journeyman by any means.
No, I know, but when you just say he bowled 30 years on tour and has 3 or 4 titles, whatever, it's like they don't understand how good he was and how close he was to having a unbelievable resume.
Here's the other one I learned about Schaefer. He was in the top 50 in money on the money list every year without winning a title. Before he cracked the winner's circle. And to answer your question, Ryan Schaefer has 28 regional titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
28, I'm sorry, no, 34. 28 regular regionals, standard regionals, 6 senior regionals. So 34 there, 5 national titles, 87 Rookie of the Years, a millionaire, shot 300 on TV, 14 runner-ups in the majors, 14 Japan Cups. I mean, that's not by any means possible, just a flash in the pan.
No, I know. And
another one that's close to that 35 regional title number. Another one that's close. At that point, it doesn't need to be a set number like the national tour is with 10 and 2 and 5, right? Like that's something that can be soft based on how many national titles you have. He's definitely one that's on the list.
Riggs, I'm going to give you another one. I'll give you 2 more. Somebody's actually mentioned his name already. Chris Warren is one of them. And how about Hugh Miller? That's a guy from maybe when you were out there. He was more relevant. So Miller, 7 titles, 3 senior titles, 44 regional titles, 33 regular, 11 senior, 1 super senior title.
And then he didn't bowl full time he won those 7 titles, not bowling full time for like 30 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he bowled full time for a good number of years, but then I believe he became, I think he's in real estate and didn't bowl full time anymore. He bowled part time, but not out there week after week after, a certain amount of time.
What about Chris Warren? I know Chris Warren took a lot of years off. Chris Warren, 6 national titles. 1 senior title, which was the senior master, so there's a major, and 56 total regionals for Chris.
Isn't that unbelievable?
47 standard, 9 senior regionals. That's absurd. and I believe he has the most. He is the leading title holder on the regional circuit.
Yeah, I think he is too.
Yeah, but Traber Dale has 52.
Yeah, and is retired now. So
yeah, and then and we said this, Justin and I were talking about this before, between Dave and Dale, 83 total regional titles between both of them. It's unbelievable.
I was there for probably all of them, or a great majority of them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like they're beating each other up for how many years?
Well, we've got at least 5 guys in our region with 30, because we got me, both Trabers, Jarris, Pete Weber, Lenny Borish.
Lenny was another one we were going to bring up.
So I think we've got 6 guys with 30 in the Midwest.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, Justin.
We have special guests.
We do have a special guest. Let's bring our friend on.
In the Midwest.
Hey Mike.
Hey, Liz.
Hello.
Special guest.
We do have a special guest. I think we have to mute somebody, right, Justin?
Yeah, Larry, if you could close the tab with the stream open as well, that way we don't hear the echo.
I want to get on and compare my hair to Jeff's.
Yeah, Larry.
What hair?
Litchy, can you just mute the feed?
I want to compare my hair to Jeff's. What hair?
Litchy, it's all you, buddy.
Larry, if you could close out the other tab on the other Facebook tab. That way we don't hear the echo. Larry, if you could close out the other tab.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Hey,
What, StreamYard?
No, the Facebook.
I think we're good now.
Maybe.
How about now? We
we're
better?
Yeah, we're good now.
Remember the last time he was with us, Justin? He was in his car.
Oh, not good.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
Hey, what, StreamYard?
No, it'll get there. Facebook.
I think Riggs. He was in his car the last time he was with us. He was doing laps to get internet in the RV.
I was
Justin?
living in my car the last time I was with you.
Oh, boy.
I think we're good.
It sounds like it's good.
Litchy, how are you, pal?
I'm okay. I'm up here at Martha's Vineyard.
Nice life.
Not
Wow.
a bad place to be.
Martha's
All right,
Vineyard.
so-
Yeah, look. This is a 10-laner. See, check it out. Watch this. This is a 10-laner on Oak Bluffs, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Check it out.
This guy's the best.
Yeah, it's a
Cool.
little 10-lane house on the vineyard. President Obama lives here. Bill Murray lives here. A lot of
Wow.
famous
And you're-
people.
Living
And then you're
highlight.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm the janitor here.
All right, Litchy. Let's bring it out. So Roy Buckley. Let's start with Roy.
Okay.
So Roy, 7 titles. How did he get in then?
Very good question. Let me explain what happened when Buckley came out. He came out in the summer of 1969. By 71, he became fantastic. And he started making top fives regularly. For 10 consecutive years, he was in the top 10 money winners. He did have one stretch. Of 15 or 16 consecutive finals. And also, there was no TV in the summer and in the fall of 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. It just started with HBO and Showtime. By then, he had, I think, 35 top fives that weren't televised. So his record was staggering, average-wise, cash-wise, finals percentage-wise, money winnings-wise. He did only win 7 titles. Yes, that is not 10. I always thought it was 10. I heard you fellas mention 10. But he was, it's funny when you get a guy that good. You got beat every week by Earl and Holman and Roth and Johnson. And if they aren't there, then there's another 30. Hudson, Couture, Lobb, Sutar, Stefanich, Davis, Petraglia, Burton, Johnson. He had to bowl some heavy hitters for 10, 12 years of his life, 20 years of his life. No different than today, but of course then it was 36 weeks, a little different schedule, of course. I think he belongs. And I think Jeff's record with regional guys like Chris Warren with 56, he did win the Masters, incidentally, in 1990. Chris Warren with that record at a major, Ryan Schaefer's record's phenomenal. Guppy Troop's phenomenal with regional wins. A lot of guys, 30, 35, 40, 45 regional wins is a staggering number. I thought I had a good regional record with 4 wins. I mean, these guys, 40 wins. I mean, crazy records.
Did you hear what Walter said, Litchy, in what Justin said, what Walter said earlier today?
No.
All right, Justin, just repeat yourself so Larry could hear this one and see what his thoughts are.
So he made a comment earlier when we posted about it, and this was his statement. I think they should be eligible based on superior performance. Bowling isn't baseball. Someone had made a comment earlier about how minor league baseball players don't get in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Anyway, some guys had great jobs, so it didn't make any sense to bowl full-time. Others bowled full-time for a few years and won national titles and have won many regional titles. They put bowlers in the Hall of Fame for national senior titles. He believes that there should be a point system where you get like 1 point for a PBA 50 or 60 regional win, 2 points for a PBA regional win, 4 points for a PBA resident pro, 5 points for a 50 or 60 tour win, 10 points for a national tour win, double the points for tournaments deemed as majors. Now, point system could change a little bit, but something like that to where the guys that are close at 7 or 8 not someone like Jeff who hasn't won on tour but has 30 regional titles.
And
Damn, right
is
on
your,
back.
I got to judge him really quick. I'm sorry. Is your Resident Pro considered a national title, Jeff, or no?
No, it was. I mean, that was probably as good a field as maybe these regional Players Championship ones, because there were several. Haran was in that, and Jarris was in there. There's a lot of guys in those trades that had national titles, but it wasn't, the superstars weren't there. So, but it was a lot more than a regional, because it was the best 7-8 guys from all 7 regions. So it was a strong field, but it wasn't tour level. But
what was the stat on Hugh Miller? Who had 7 titles and 44 regional titles?
All right, Hugh Miller
and 3 seniors, I think, too.
Yeah, so Hugh Miller has 7 national titles, 3 senior national titles, 33 regular regional titles, 11 senior regional.
Oh my God,
senior.
That's crazy. That record's from another world, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he didn't have 10 titles on a national tour, but he certainly beat him up everywhere else. It's a very interesting statistic. It's like Jeff's in a way, because he might not have bowled well on a national tour, but when you beat him in your region for 30 years, there's something to that. He beat Pete Weber, too, a lot of times, and a lot of other great players from that region, the Trabers. And I think Hugh Miller, especially coming from the Northwest with David Husted out there and Holman and a lot of other guys, those are great records. Great records.
And then you go to Jarros, was the other one, Larry.
Yeah.
8 titles, 1 major, 43 regionals.
Wow. That's staggering numbers. To be that good that many times, there's many great bowlers that never got close to that, numbers like that, and they did bowl a lot of regionals. They did not win them like that. Those records. Stoney Baker's got a great record. He's got about 35 regionals in the South. Never bowled a national tour, was a proprietor. Guppy's record, very interesting, with national tour, senior tour, regional titles. Hugh Miller, those are strong records.
I think someone like
you said
Steve
Stoney
Jarrett.
Baker.
Stoney Baker out of Georgia.
Stoney Baker has 32. I'm looking at. I have the sheet from the PBA right now.
Yeah.
As of September 16th, Stoney Baker has 32 regional titles.
That number. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I've been around long enough. I'm amazed that somebody could win 30 or 40 times at the regional level. I don't care what region. I don't care if they never bowled a national tour.
Well, I bowled 400 of them or so.
Yeah, but there's always 15 or 20 champions that you got to beat over a long period of time. And in his case, he had a bowl against Pete Weber for 40 years. Not only Pete Weber, but there are many others. Hold on one second, guys. I have to leave for just a half a second.
You want to eat?
Would you give this to Peter?
Oh, anyway, someone like
he's the best.
Yeah, someone like Steve Jarros. Back to what I was saying. I think he's probably the closest. I know we've talked about guys like Ryan Schaefer, but I think Steve is the closest with 8 national titles, I think, and 40 some odd regional wins. I mean, he's probably the closest within that point system range that he would have enough in that numerical number. Ryan Schaefer could be close. I think he'd be someone that would be really close to that soft number.
Ryan's problem is you probably get 0 for second place at the U.S. Open.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got all those zeros that were this close to being, historic. So
right.
The only thing Schaefer has is a rookie.
I said it before. If a guy like Walter would think that, and enough other guys along with Walter at his level, a Duke, a Barnes, those guys sat down and they thought that some sort of system like that was credible and equitable and didn't, depreciate their achievements. And then you put someone like Jarris in. If they don't have a problem with that, I would not. I don't think there's any point system that would put me in with them with 0 national titles, but Jarris and Hugh Miller and those guys,
Guppy.
Yeah, Guppy, I wouldn't have any problem with that at all. If you as kicking it over the edge, sort of equivalent to getting those couple more titles, more power to them. If the guys that have 40 titles on tour don't, 30, 40 don't feel slighted by that, I have no standing to say they should be.
Right. And that statement, that idea brought up with the point system, if that was just another average person, it'd be one thing. But
Coming from Walter.
we're talking about Walter Ray, the greatest player of all
Right.
time.
Exactly.
Sorry about that.
You're all good.
Have to go set up a 4-pin or something, Lich?
Yeah, I had to collect some money. That's the only time I get up.
Had to drill a ball for President Obama. There you
Yes, President Obama's. I drilled a ball for 3 of his Secret Service guys that guarded 3 presidents: President Bush, President Obama, and President Trump. And then they had seniority, and now they watch President Obama. I gave them lessons. Now they're in Hawaii with him there.
Yeah,
It was very exciting for me, and what an honor. And he's coming back here in May. He bowls in this bowling center, so there's an outside chance that I might drill him a ball or two. Him and his wife will see.
One-handed or two-hander?
He's a lefty, the poor man.
So
Drill
Litchy,
purple hammer, right? And Sean will get one.
Purple hammer, yes.
the president has no integrity.
Well, we're going to get him a purple hammer and give him one of them 60 hardness ones. He'll do just fine.
Oh,
Litchy, what's your thought on Schaefer, really quick before we wrap it up?
Fantastic. What, second and 6 majors?
How about 14 runner-ups in the majors?
Yeah. No, not 14. That's impossible. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's possible.
I think it's honestly, I think it's 12. I honestly,
if he finished second 12 times in majors, I mean, how many guys can get there that many times? Anthony, Weber, Belmonte, Carter, Albee. How many guys could get to 12 finals?
Well, he lost the TSC twice to Couch back-to-back years. So there's 2 right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I know he finished second to West at Carolier at the Open. He might have finished second twice there, Justin, at Carolier when they were.
He's got 12 seconds. I had no idea that's even feasible. That's a scary thing. I mean, that would keep me up the rest of my life. How can you go to sleep knowing you had a chance to win 12 and you're
okay.
over 12?
Here it is, another Wikipedia. So since PBA site has not got all this, top 5 finishes in PBA majors, 15 of them, and specifically noting 5 runners-up, and all the other ones aren't defined as to what they were. So he has at least 5 runner-ups.
Yes.
And 15 top 5s in major.
Wow.
That's incredible right there.
Yeah.
He's
no matter who you are, if you make a top 5 in a major, it's a lifetime memory. I mean, you've had a chance, even if you didn't win, to win. And that's all you ask for is a chance. I'm shocked that he never won one as good a bowler as he is.
Okay.
But he always bowled superstars. He lost to everybody that was great.
Yep. And here's where you had it, Mike. According to the wiki, he has 13 runner-ups on tour total, 5 of them in majors, and that is a PBA record for 15 top 5s in majors. But he has 13 seconds in a career with 5 titles.
Wow. And I would not say he gave him away. He was too good. I think he got beat. Maybe he might have had an errant shot here and there, but that guy's a hell of a bowler. He's amazing.
Greatest what-if resume in history.
Has he won on the senior tour yet or no?
He doesn't bowl very much. He has not
really?
bowled very much. I know he's made a couple of some top 5s because I watched the step ladders on Flow, but I don't know that he's won.
And Litchy, just to answer, 34 regional titles he has in his career.
See, there's another one, like you, Miller, like Chris Warren, like Guppy. There's 4 or 5 of them, a lot of nationals, a lot of regionals. It's a tough thing when they say you got to. I always thought it was 10 titles, but I know Roy got in with 7, and Ernie got in with 7. But Ernie had a Players Championship and a Masters.
Yeah, if you have
2
majors, you only need 5 titles.
2 majors. Roy never won a major. Roy was second in majors, or third or fourth, numerous times, but never won a major.
And that goes back to Haran. Haran has 2 with 5 titles.
Wow. That's like Lavoie. What's Lavoie got 3 majors and 5 titles?
Yeah.
That's scary. That's a scary number right there.
He's already eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Richie,
He's
here's a
got
little
to get his
trick.
20 years in.
Yeah, once he
Yeah.
gets his 20 years in, he's in.
How about this for a little statistic, Larry? Schaefer's the only bowler to make the U.S. Open telecast in 4 different decades.
Wow. The only bowler to make the U.S. Open telecast in 4 different decades. And that includes Pete Weber? Does that include?
That's what I was told.
No,
I was told
Pete-
that yesterday. Pete, I think that him and Weber are probably only 2 then.
Pete's 80. Pete had to be. Well, hold it. Did Pete make, or he had to make it in the 90s? Because obviously he did in the 80s because he won in the 80s. Yeah, he won in 90.
Yeah.
He won the
He won
Seagrams.
the trophy.
He
So
won the
he's got
U.S.
4.
Open in '88 at the Showboat.
Right.
And then he
so
dropped
had
the trophy.
80s, 90s, 2 O's and 2 teens. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so that had to be so. There may be 1 of 2 then,
Yeah,
and 14 Japan Cups.
yeah. Have you guys been talking about everything tonight that from this weekend, or have you skipped a few things?
We've talked about basically everything from this weekend. We just didn't give our opinion on the main
The
thing.
smoking
that happened.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great. The 5 shows were great. It was thrilling to watch. Fox is just a blessing for us. To see bowling live on TV 3 consecutive evenings, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and look forward to that each day. Shows were great. The kids were great. The stars were great. Duke was from another world. Great competition. It's wonderful. Great money. Boy, I'll tell you, Bolero's pumping it up. It's a lot of money for getting paid for winning those regional tournaments, boy. A lot of money.
So let's ask the 2 experts then, Justin. Who's your pick for the weekend? Who do you
Graham
guys like?
Paul, Arturo Quintero, Sean Rash, Tommy Jones, Jason Belmonte.
Who do you guys got?
How does it work? Who's getting seeded number 1?
They bowled 3 games on Friday on Flow Bowling, right? It's 3. Last year was 3. I assume it's 3 again.
All on the same pair?
Yep.
Yep.
So there's 5 guys bowling on one pair. They switching pairs?
Nope.
No.
I don't believe so.
5 guys on one
Look
pair.
at his face.
Dual patterns?
Yes.
5 guys, 1 pair, dual patterns.
4 righties and Graham 5. I think
And
Graham's looking pretty good.
62 reps around them with Aberlon pads and giving them advice after each frame. I love it when they walk off camera and start talking to reps. I just think that's part of that's a wonderful thing. I would love to see Friday. There's got to be 30 reps down there. What do you think?
Look like an NFL sideline. All the coaches. Yeah, I like. I don't know. I'm probably not going to have time to write a predictive thing, but Graham Fa, boy, how can you not like his chances if the left side looked on the show, and if it really is 1 pair in 3 games and they don't move, boy, you got to like his chances.
Boy, I'll tell you, you're right. He's got 4 righties burning on him, with all 400 plus off their hand and using urethane and switching, and he's out there just he's sharp too. He's very good mental game.
He might lead that by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting if he's number 1 on Saturday, because the way Belmonte looked when he got locked in, oof.
Oh.
He went through them like Grant went through Richmond.
So is Graham Fa the pick, guys?
Well, I said pick to, that's the format, pick to be the top seed. I didn't say pick to win. But he does have a title, and it was a major. But if Belmo, Tommy, Sean, if he ends up facing one of those guys with resumes like they have, it's and a major and $100,000 on the line. That's a different feeling than seeding.
Do you guys think they're going to interview Sean Rash about what happened to him? You think
that's a very good question.
Talk to him?
Honestly, I don't think if they did already, they're not going to.
I mean, he's not going to be interviewed. You don't think they're going to talk about it?
No, I disagree. I think that they haven't done it because they're saving it for Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think Fox is not doing its job and is very derelict in its duties if it does not address that situation with.
I believe you're right.
If we're a real sport,
yes,
if bowling is a real sport, Rob Stone needs, or Randy, or
let
Kimberly
Randy do it.
Needs to sit up there and ask the hard questions of Sean. If we're a real sport, they would ask, whatever, pick your pro athlete. Bryson DeChambeau had some stuff this year. Whoever you want to pick that's been in a controversial situation in a real big time sport, they're going to get asked about it by Jim Gray or whoever it is, So
Congress
big time, we got to stand up and be treated the same.
Kimberly
I agree.
kind of asked the question this time.
I think he needs to explain to the public what his feelings are and whether or not he feels, he owes an apology not only to the public but to that poor young man. That young
he did
man
already, Litchie. He did.
That young man handled it as good as any man I've ever seen in my life. That's the second worst 10th frame in bowling history. The worst 10th frame in bowling history. Don Janello, 5-5 out against Jimmy Pritz. Yep. This was a 5-1. And that kid handled it as good as any man I've ever met or seen. And I know him. I talked to him a little bit. He bowled a little bit at Lightning Strikes. He went to Weber. I feel bad for him.
Just to be clear, I just discovered this tonight. They had a post show for each of the shows, and they had it on the PBA Facebook page and then the YouTube channel. And it might not have even been on the Facebook page, but it's on the PBA Tour YouTube channel. There's a post show for all 5 regions. And Sean was interviewed it's like 8 minutes. They're 6 to 8 minutes long. They're not hard to watch. They zoom. And Sean did directly apologize to Matt by name completely and with no qualifiers. It was not the usual, not one of these fake apologies. If I apologize to anybody, he said, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to Matt Russo, and it's on. So if you want to watch it, folks, PBA Tour YouTube page.
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he apologized. I think now that he probably looked back at it, he probably wondered what the hell he did. Why would he do that? He's so good.
But that's not why he was suspended, though, either. So the word integrity was the bigger word than the S word. So
yeah. I agree.
Can I ask you, Litchie, from a competitive standpoint before we get out of here? But Beef and Barnesy got in this today. It's my opinion that whatever Sean says when he's up on the approach towards his opponent and whatever he does, as long as he sits down and shuts up and doesn't interfere with Matt, his opponent's shot while it's happening, then it's on me, Matt Russo, to not let Sean's antics bother me. And it's gamesmanship like Norm Duke fiddling with tape or somebody taking 2 re-racks or whatever, that really Sean in that respect didn't really do anything that wrong. What he got in trouble for was the integrity with the PBA, but what he did with involving Matt really was just part of being a professional bowler. Would you agree with that? Beef and Barnesy had that opinion today.
Well, in my life, I've seen every hothead. I saw Pete in his prime and Marshall Holman. Those two got an act nobody could follow. And now it's Sean Rash. So when you think of it that way, there's always somebody over the last 30. And in the 60s, this was Ed Bourdet. Ed Bourdet was pretty nasty. God bless him. It's not their normal demeanor. They're really nice guys, but they're in a battle when they're bowling for their livelihood. And Sean Rash is a fierce competitor. We all know that. We also know he's great. We also know he's got his own way of being Sean Rash. There's not too many Mike Albies on that show that are just, low key and get through it. But I think there's a limit. I wasn't there to watch it all. I didn't see and hear everything. Swearing, everybody swears. Just pull up HBO tonight and watch that language contest.
Watch an NBA game if you can.
Swearing is nothing. Yep. To me, it's ridiculous. But intimidating an opponent and rattling them, I think there is a limit. I guess when you're on the approach, it's your approach, and when you're off the approach, it's shut up.
That's my.
I believe that Ernie did it. After Randy left the solid 8, Ernie went crazy. Everybody hated Ernie for that, but Ernie didn't bother Randy until the 8-pin stood. Then Ernie went ballistic because he's Ernie. To this day, there are people that hate him for that.
Yep. But Matt's job there isn't Matt's job there to block it out and get up, flush the shot, turn around.
No question. No question.
That's how you answer that.
He decelerated. He was nervous. No doubt the heartbeat was up. No doubt it was a bad break. And the second ball was a great shot.
Oh, yes.
I mean, to pluck the pin out in the middle of the baby split, who does that? I mean, he trusted it. He got it left. If it hooks another inch, he makes the spare. You just got to feel bad for him, and you just got to, in a way, you got to feel bad for Sean. I think Sean's a better man than that, but it certainly didn't look, he looked pretty nasty,
Guys, thank you very much for the insight tonight. This was good. We had some good opinions. Litchi, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I didn't think I would, but you guys invited me.
Well, I mean, it was easier than you typing in, and
Yeah, I loved it. It was very nice. I'm sitting here with my friend Jim Argy, the GM of the Bar and Bowl and Bistro out here on Martha's Vineyard. He's a dear friend of mine, and I come over here and I coach and drill a little bit and hang out with Jim and his wife. But thank you guys so much for inviting me.
We'll have to get you back for another hour of story time with you.
Love to do it, and if not, I'm a fan, so keep it up.
Thanks, Litchi. We'll
Great
talk
to be with you, Jeff. Good luck to you, Jeff. Good luck to you guys. Stay healthy.
Take care.
You too, Litchi. Take care, buddy.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Jeff, thank you, friend. It was finally, we've been working on this guy for a long time, Justin. Schedules just never worked with him, so we finally got him. Litchi had some good insight with everything.
Right. No, he's one of those guys that's a walking encyclopedia that goes back to, you had Bowl last week. And I go back a ways, but I don't go back as far as those guys.
Bo was at another level last week.
Oh my God. We felt like we didn't know anything about the sport when we had Bo on. I mean, he was talking about guys from like the 40s and the 50s, that guys that, like, we had never heard of.
Did you catch the thing he said, Jeff? His league, when he bowled, 18, 19 years old in St. Louis, had 7 U.S. Open champions in his league.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
So, Justin, really quick before we let him go, we're not going to do our 10 frames with Jeff because we've gone past it. But I want to ask him one question.
Go ahead. The
one question we ask everybody, Riggs. Who is the best guy to never won a title on tour?
Whew. Jeff Richgels. No. That's a joke, folks.
Okay.
Joke. Well, I mean, you guys kind of got to the guy that everyone likes to think of.
Yeah.
And that's Richie Wolf. And I think that there's no doubt that he has the prettiest game, perhaps, of anybody not to win. But I think how can you not say AJ Johnson? I mean,
currently AJ Johnson,
and even he's been doing this now and being close and he's not like close once a year. He's like up there constantly.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like a top 10 or 15 player without winning. It's incredible, and I swear he's going to win and finally win one, and then might win 5.
He's going to go off.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can just tell that shot he threw, a couple of shots, he just gets to, and he's so strong that it's like,
he's a monster. He's a
and
gym rat.
It's kind of, I've called it Hulkamania. You can kind of see it. It's just like, and then he's just too strong and just relax and, get that fine line between being too relaxed and too overpumped. And once he does, I expect him to win a lot. But obviously you watch him, he wants it so bad.
Yeah.
And he just, the one he didn't win last year who shot the 290 or whatever. Was that?
Was Prather.
Prather, the one.
I think it was Prather, right?
For 2 years ago, the damn COVID messed up the time.
Yeah, we're all messed up on calendars.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that was the one I thought he was going to win and bowled a really good game.
And he finished second in the Masters too. He led the Masters 1 year.
Led the Masters, and that was in Green Bay, and I want to say 15 or 16.
Yeah, that was Belmo. Belmo got him there.
If he wins that match, and he got creamed by Belmo, but if he somehow wins that match, he might have 10 titles already, because all this trying to win one would disappear. Can I say one thing before we go?
You can say whatever you want, buddy.
I'm going to apologize to Storm and Turbo and I Am Bowling logo, because literally, I'm not lying. It's supposed to be 15 or 16 below temperature tonight and 30 below wind chill. And even though I have my house, the heater's like running straight through and it's okay, but it's chilly. And I was going to just wear a jersey, and so I would be, but instead I have the University of Wisconsin sweatshirt over it, because my house, even with the heater running, is cold, because it is Wisconsin cold here. If this would have been Saturday night's game, this would have been the Ice Bowl.
So this would have been like when the Giants played you guys a couple years
it
ago.
was. It is. It's not really windy tonight, so it's not too bad. If it was windy, it would be unbearable. But
So-
I mean, trying to get the dog outside in this tonight is going to be. It's 7:30 and it's below zero already. I'm
So
pretty sure.
Justin, if you remember, I'm going to go to Jupiter to go have crabs with Bo. I'm
Yeah.
not going to Madison, Wisconsin to have a beer with Jeff. There's no
Not
way.
this time of year. You
Not
come
this
here
time of
in
year, no.
summer, and it's the greatest place in the world. But this weather is what keeps us from having 5 million people living here. So I'm totally good with it.
Well, stay warm,
Yes,
everybody. 11thframe.com. Buy the blog.
that's right.
Buy the blog. And this guy is the best. Anything in the bowling world that happens, he breaks the story. He is aces, and he's finally with us, Justin. So thank you, Jeff. And much success, continued success. Stay healthy, stay safe. And maybe we'll have you back on for another interesting topic.
Absolutely.
Likewise to you guys, and anytime you want me, I'm here for you.
You're the man,
right.
Jeff. Stay well,
Thank
stay
you,
warm,
Jeff.
buddy. We'll talk to you soon. And there he
All
goes,
right.
Justin.
Yep.
That was
What a
good.
show. What a show. And I think we got all of our points out. I think we did a great job. I want to wrap this up quickly because I have practice for league in 25 minutes.
You're bowling at North Rock. You don't need practice.
Anyway, I do want to say I'm super excited. I'm actually working for the PBA this weekend doing social media.
Yeah, the
So
PBA
I'm
juniors this weekend, right?
I'm going to be covering the PBA Junior, and we're going to be coming out with some vlogs on the PBA YouTube channel. I'm super excited for it. If you're a fan of junior bowling, if you're a fan of bowling, get ready to watch 20 of the best youth competitors, not just in the country, but in the world.
Alex Horton.
It's going to be absolutely great. TV show is Sunday. Qualifying is Friday I believe it's on the PBA Facebook page, so go check it out. Super excited, and big things coming in sport bowling.
We're pulling for Alex Horton. That's
Yes,
the
we
guy.
are.
We're pulling for Alex.
That's who I'm rooting for, but I won't post that anywhere.
No, we're not. We're all rooting for Alex, the local guy. We're rooting for him, buddy.
Rooting for the local guy.
Indiana Tech, right?
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, go hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, click that follow button, like the page. You can never miss an update from the crew. Check us out on Instagram as well. And if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, you can check out Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Bohn and Zano Zone. It's been great, and this was an absolute blast.
And for all your bowling needs, buddiesproshop.com, zone 5 off in the
Now
promo
you're getting
code.
there. You're getting there.
You know what it is? I just turned 39, so I'm getting, as I'm losing a little bit, I'm gaining some more remembrance. So
Yes.
I'm finally remembering the promo code for buddies. Zone 5 off gets you 5% off buddiesproshop.com. So
It sure
there you
does.
go. I find another year on the earth. I finally remember the promo code.
All right. Well, Mike, happy belated birthday.
Thanks, pal. And next week, we may have to change schedule next week
Might we?
because I'm on Bowling with the Fef next week.
Okay. Maybe we will.
Listen, I'm
Hey.
making.
We'll chat next week about our schedule. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I just say I'm making strides in the bowling world. Val for CEO is the
Val
hash.
for CEO.
Yeah, so I'll be there next week, but we'll be back soon.
All right. Sounds good. Guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.